Cheers. Right. Um, the DWP's chief medical advisor has downplayed her department's links to countless deaths. Uh, yes. The story I'm getting from the DNS Disability News Service. Anyway, um, hmm. Anyway, the chief medical advisor for the Department of Conventions has sparked fresh anger after again publicly downplaying links between the deaths of disabled benefit claimants and her own department's actions. Right, let's. Dr. Gail, she's a doctor. She's a medical advisor and she's a doctor. Very interesting. Yeah, but if somebody gets a doctor's certificate saying they're unable to attend for a universal credit interview, that doctor's certificate's not good enough according to the DWP. So they'll sanction the person and then stop their benefit. So, um, they know better than a doctor. So, why have they got a doctor advising if they believe that if a doctor says someone is unfit to leave the house, he's wrong. What on earth is this about? And yes, it is true. A doctor's certificate that says somebody is not available for work or cannot be available for work is not good enough to the DWP. Anyway, Dr. Gallagher. So, I mean, I wonder what. No, she's not a medic. It's probably not a medical doctor. I mean, uh, I wonder what her PhD is in. Hmm. Anyway, she was appointed to the role 17 months ago, and last month she dismissed the importance of hundreds of secret internal process reviews carried out by her department into the deaths of claimants. And obviously, well, you see, the reviews were internal and secret. They had to be internal and they had to be secret. You see, I mean, probably a lot of discussion was basically how was this death of this disabled people organised, that we organised, got back to us. We need to cover our tracks. So, I mean, I reckon a lot of discussion like that was going on. Anyway, she's publicly downplayed evidence that closely links the deaths to her department, and she has even suggested that MPs should remember how many claimants die when DWP is not responsible for their deaths. So basically, people who have something to do with the DWP die, so it doesn't really matter if the DWP kill a few. This is their attitude. She also told MPs that it was inevitable that many claimants would die every year because of the number of people her department deals with. And she told the Commons Work and Pensions Committee the sheer number of people that our department touches, the opposite to the Midas touch. Yes. The number of people that our department touches, oh yeah, they fucking touch people, all right. And the lives that they touch, oh yeah, they do that, all right. There are, of course, going to be lots of people that die in the process every single year who are in touch with our department. Right. So what she's saying is that people who are in touch with the DWP die. So it's perfectly reasonable for them to kill disabled people. Right, okay. Sometimes there will be a trigger within the department that makes something worse, but actually there will be lots of people that will die where there is no trigger within the department. Oh, right. So this is interesting. she admits that there can be a trigger within the department that will make something worse. Okay, so right, okay, so but not always. So basically, some disabled people may die without the DWP doing something to bring on the death. Is that what she's saying? Allsop was giving evidence to committee in its final session on an inquiry into safeguarding vulnerable claimants. When it comes to safeguarding, the only thing the DWP safeguards is itself. So really doesn't give a toss about who they call claimants or clients. I don't know if behind the scene they call them victims instead, but it wouldn't surprise me. She had been responding to a question by disabled Liberal Democrat MP Steve Darling, who had asked how the department could improve the data it collects on serious harm and deaths of working age benefit claimants. He also asked whether coroners should be asked to recall whether a claimant was a working age benefit claimant on death certificates to help us understand where there are challenges with systems impacting on people's well-being. What would be the point? It sounds, now basically a lot of people the DWP kill are not actually benefit claimants when they die, because the DWP will actually close the claim, so they're not claiming. So they're not claimants when they die. This is one of the things they do, which helps cover up the full scale of the genocide they are committing against the disabled. Darling also asked whether, yeah, okay, I've done that. Also told the committee it was really important to say that the cause of a suicide was never one thing, but that, yeah, she's saying it was never one thing, and that some of the risk factors for suicide, particularly for working age people and particularly for men, are loss of work and loss of income. And so, of course, people who are on benefits will be at risk, especially if they're disabled, because you'll stop their benefits to make them more likely to commit suicide, won't you, DWP? Also, this is what they will cut the disabled person. But so they actually know that lots of work and loss of income is a factor in suicide. So they stop disabled people's benefits to make it more likely that they will commit suicide. Okay, we're beginning to understand this better now, aren't we? Yeah. She said that it doesn't necessarily mean it's the department that is the only trigger for that suicide, and that her team takes a holistic approach to what's going on. How hermetically vacuous that is. Anyway, she said that the prevention of future deaths reports sent to DWP by coroners since starting in her role 17 months ago were really important, because that also gives us an idea of the different number of services that people are interacting with. Now, yes, a disabled person goes to the Citizens Advice Bureau. The CAB tells them what benefits they are entitled to, and then they go to the DWP, and they will put in a claim for something, and the DWP, well, they may let them have, well, they may put them in receipt of some benefit or other. But what the DWP will then tell them that they are not entitled to most of the benefits that the citizens of Brightbrew have told them they're entitled to. This is because the CAB actually tells people what they're entitled to by law, while the staff at the DWP think of themselves as a law unto themselves and are a bunch of liars who hate disabled people and want to kill them all. So that's what happened. So yes, they would. The CAB ends up being involved. Another one would be a food bank, but the problem is a food bank. A lot of food banks you cannot access them without a referral. Now you need that from. You can get one from CAB. It does help being on universal credit though, and if you stop the universal credit because you want to kill the person, they're not likely to be having involvement with a food bank either. Then also they could get the MP involved. Now some MPs will actually get it sorted out so the disabled person is getting the help they need, while others are just absolutely useless. And that's the way they really hate claimants who get their MPs involved. A number of claimants who got their MPs involved to overturn decisions immediately after the general election was called last year, because they closed loads of claims, and because they knew that because of Purda, the people they were trying to kill off couldn't contact their MPs. Because they actually do want to kill off all the disabled. Anyway, she downplayed DWP's role in those deaths, telling the committee that, two of the PFD reports sent to DWP since all such report collected the deaths of Kevin Gale and Nazrin Anderson. Both of their deaths were closely linked by coroners to flaws within the universal credit system, and in both cases, the reports were only sent to DWP and no other public bodies. Well, they weren't. They weren't. But basically, the DWP is into killing people. I don't. The thing is, this shouldn't. These reports shouldn't be going to the DWP. They should be going to the CPS. I mean, the DWP are killing people on purpose. They are committing murder. It needs to go to the Crown Prosecution Service. It's no good sending it to the DWP. The DWP know what they're doing and they'll hide it up. There needs to be a thorough police investigation and the Crown Prosecution Service involved. The police and the CPS need to be involved. The DWP know that they're killing people, and they want to carry on because it's what they want to do. So basically, a coroner sending something to the DWP, it should go to the police or the CPS because the DWP know what they're doing and they're doing it on purpose. So there you have it. So this is one of the ways they're getting away with it. On the 4th of March 2023, Gale took his own life after becoming overwhelmed by the universal credit application process. Now, it's quite easy to claim for universal credit. If you're disabled, getting it is a lot harder. If you are disabled, keeping it is virtually impossible because eventually they would sanction the disabled person and then eventually close the claim of the disabled person because they don't want to give disabled people any money because they want them all dead. So I think that's been simplified. What's happened in June 2023, the death of Nazrin Anderson followed 6 missed opportunities by DWP to record her vulnerability. They probably did record her vulnerability and thought, okay, let's kill her. They are killing people on purpose. Why do people? It sounds so horrendous that a government department would actually be going out of its way to kill people that nobody actually wants to believe it. But that's what's happening. I know it sounds ridiculous. Now, oh dear, her case had been randomly selected for a performance measurement review of her universal credit claim, and she was told she owed nearly £13,000 in back payments following her husband's death. And this is one of the things they do. They'll stop the universal credit claim, and then they'll say that that person's been overpaid. I mean, they're likely to get in debt with normal bills and stuff, but they just want to add to the bills, to add to the pressure, and ask for. In this case, it was £15,000. I mean, it's basically let's encourage them to actually go. Yeah, let's give them as much anxiety as possible, so hopefully they'll top themselves. This is what the DWP allow, and it is on purpose. And anyway, Debbie Abrahams, the Labour chair of the committee, told us yesterday that there was a need to discover the true scale of deaths of claimants. That's going to be very difficult. They're covering it all up. They cover it up. I mean, if you actually follow, there is a pattern that follows a lot of these deaths, right? What follows is a cover up, right? And that's followed. Sometimes the cover up isn't good enough, but then there's a cover up, the cover up, the cover up, and da 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 da, and then an internal secrets review. So who's going to do that? She said, although we know that you have investigated, I think, 80 and 90 over the past year, a bit more than that, a bit more than 80 and 90 over the past year. At some point in the last year, a figure was being bandied around that they've managed to kill 20,000 disabled people in 6 months. It is on purpose. And she reminded also that not all such deaths were suicides. They're not. Stop the universal credit. Right, no longer entitled to free prescriptions. No income. Can't get a prescription for needed medication. Goodbye. That's another way to kill someone, isn't it? But this one's yeah. She told also Errol Graham didn't die of suicide, he died of starvation. This is the kind of evil bastards they are. In the 21st century, in one of the richest countries in the world, people can starve to death because the DWP hate the disabled and want them dead that much. Okay? Alison Burton, the daughter-in-law of Errol Graham, who he started with after the Department of Work and Pensions wrongly removed his out-of-work disability benefits. No doubt they knew they were wrong to do it, but they wanted to kill him off in some way or other. Told Disability News Service yesterday that she was appalled by Alsop's comments and said what she's saying to the public is no matter what we do, people are going to die anyway, and you can't hold the government responsible. Now, basically, the DWP is a law unto itself. Basically, it's run by ideologically deranged psychopaths who want to kill off all the disabled people. There is no question about that. And the higher you go, the more psychotic and ideologically deranged they are. Any work and pension secretary who tries to stop this ideologically driven insanity, evil that is taking place, tends not to be around for long. If they really tried to stop it, they'd accuse the Secretary of State or even the junior minister of bullying them and get rid of them. And they are a law unto themselves. I mean, basically, um, it needs to be shut down, and all the people who work at the DWP should not be moved anywhere to another department to infest it with their evil ideology. Uh, quite frankly, I think quite a few of them should be behind bars because they actually know what they're doing. It's on purpose. She said, what she's saying, Alison Burton, Errol Graham's daughter-in-law, said, what she's saying to the public is no matter. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. She's downplaying the severity of these deaths and the role the department is playing in them. I mean, well, she would. I mean, she thinks she's doing society a favour, killing disabled people. That's a fact. That the DWPs is run by ideologically deranged people who believe that disabled people are a burden to the state. They're not going to. I mean, some of them aren't going. May not be able to work, or they're not. They're not going to be paying lots of tax and give the country lots of tax revenue. So they're a burden. So um, due to the deranged ideology the DWP follows, the DWP believes that all disabled people should be exterminated, and that's the reality. So, you know, and then, uh, um, gosh, Errol Graham's daughter-in-law said of also, she doesn't believe that the department has done anything wrong. No, she doesn't. She probably knows what the department's doing, but she doesn't believe it's wrong. Burton watched the evidence session, said it's attitudes like that why things aren't getting. Yeah. So Stephen Timms, the Social Security and Disability Minister, said that he wanted to rebuild trust and confidence in the department. That said, you aren't building confidence when you have other members of the team who aren't on the same page. And he says that that basically her attitude of people are going to die, get over it. He actually said he finds it insulting. But that's how the DWP is run. Yeah, I mean, last month, the Shortstop woman also said that she only viewed 5 deaths in the previous 16 months that had led to a coroner sending the department a PFD report as the only deaths that are associated with a DWP perspective. When you stop the benefit, they're not going to actually find you, are they? In fact, DWP has carried out hundreds of IPRs of deaths of claimants linked to its actions over the last decade, each one examining how the department has handled the case, and they have led to countless recommendations for local and national improvements. Now, basically, they're all secret. They won't say what. Now, any local or national improvements to stop disabled people dying aren't going to be implemented because they quite like the policy as it is because they want to kill all the disabled people. Anyway, Kerry eleison. Shalom, Salam, Pax Christi, Lenita Christi, Kerry eleison.